Chachamim. Who are the Chachamim? To which the Gemara says, Rabbi Menachem, Rabbi Yossi. It was a reference to Rabbi Menachem, Rabbi Yossi. This Sanyo, Rabbi Menachem, Rabbi Yossi, Omer, Binakvo b'shem, Nakvo b'shem yumas. So also the pasuk says over here, it's V'nokev Shem Hashem yumas. Right? If a person goes ahead and now, what we're going to see, by the way, the interesting discussion, Nokev Shem Hashem yumas sounds like a person is cursing God. What we're going to see is that there's an interpretation on this pasuk that is referring to someone who curses his parents using the Shem Hashem. So the Gemara says, "V'nakvo Shem yumas." Ma tamalama Shem. So what does it mean when it says Shem? We made amakalal aviv v'imo sheinu chayiv at shekali v'shem. This pasuk is coming to teach me that I'm only chayiv for cursing my parents if indeed I curse them b'shem. If I curse them with the name of HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Tan Rabbanan. So the Gemara quotes it. So the Gemara says, "Ish." So we'll say, why does the pasuk need to say ish? Now remember, the pasuk the Gemara they're talking about over here is ki ish asher kalel es aviv ve'asimo. The person goes ahead and curses his mother and his father. So the Gemara says, why does it have to say ish? Why does it have to say twice? The rabbos bas tumtum va'androgynous, to teach you that even if the daughter of a tumtum and an androgynous goes ahead and curses her father or her parental entity, that lamaisa again she's still going to be chayeves. Asher yikalel es aviv ve'asimo. So the pasuk says that a person will curse their father and mother. Ainli ela aviv imo. I only know if a person curses their father and their mother together. Aviv shalo imo shalo aviv mina. I'll say, how do I know that if a child curses his father without his mother, or his mother without his father, that ultimately again he will be chayiv? Talmud aviv v'imo kilel damav bo, because the pasuk says aviv v'imo kilel, his mother and his father as he cursed, therefore his blood shall be upon him. Aviv kilel imo kilel. Both said the fact that it says aviv v'imo kilel, that vav is not a vav achiba, but rather again it's a vav hamosif, to teach you whether he curses his father or whether he curses his mother, he's going to be chayiv. To which the Gemara says, Rabbi Yoshia, Rabbi Yonasan Omer, mashma shneihen ke'achad. So Rabbi Yochanan says, from the pasuk we could infer that one would be chayiv at his parents together, and he's also chayiv if he curses his parents one by one, meaning independent. In other words, that's how we interpret the pasuk ketashtos, until the pasuk would teach you explicitly that the only way you're chayiv is if you were to curse them together. Most yumas, the pasuk says, he shall be put to death. The person who curses his parents. Most yumas. Another one of the death penalties that's brought down in the Torah. Ne'emar kan damav bo, v'ne'emar lahalon demehem bo. It says over here by cursing parents, damav bo, and it says later on, ultimately it is by the oviyidoni demehem bo. Ma lahalon b'skila, just like by the oviyidoni avodah. Well, actually, we had a machlokes avodah kishuv. It's partial by skila, afkan b'skila. So to Onesh Shalom, we've learned the punishment as Harman. We've spoken about this concept many times. That the way it works in the Torah is that again, first you have to have an ashara. Thank you, First you have to have an ashara. First you have to go, and then you could go ahead and have the chiyuv in misa. In other words, you need to find a source of visions. Now I understand misa. Tell me, where do we learn the ashara? Where do we learn ultimately the warning against kalo? So we'll say, interestingly enough, the Elohim. Now we're going to discuss who this refers to in just a moment. So where's the Gemara Dash? So we'll say, first wide line, Samech Vav Amud Aleph. Im haya aviv dayan, if his father was a judge, harehu bichlal Elohim lo sekalel, then the father is included in the prohibition of do not curse an Elohim, do not curse a judge. Then haya aviv nasi, if his father was a nasi, then harihu bichlav the nasi ba'am chalosar. We'll say, remember again, there's an explicit pasuk that says that you shall not curse a nasi within your people. Eino lo dayin v'lo nasi minayin. So we'll say, what happens if my father is not a nasi and he's not a dayan? Meaning, what happens if he's not either of these individuals? Then what? How do I know that ultimately, again, So the Gemara says, Amran binyan av mishnehem. You can learn out the binyan av, or let's say from Nasi and from Elohim, and from the judge. Also, like a common denominator, able to go ahead and based on the occurrence of a particular principle in more than one location, we could create not common denominator, a paradigm. Now know that what? I'm not allowed to curse a dayan. So if my father was a dayan, I also know I can't curse the Nasi. Right? If my father was a Nasi, I can't curse him because he's the Nasi. Now we're trying to figure out, what if my father's dayan? My father is not a Nasi. To which the Gemara says we could build the binyan of. And what does the binyan of say? All right, the dan binyan mishteh. Lori Nasi kurai dayan, lori dayan kurai Nasi. So Nasi and dayan together, in reality, how are they dissimilar? So the Gemara says, so we'll say a dayan is not like a Nasi house. That you have to follow the psak din of a dayan. If a dayan makes the psak din of that halacha, compliance with that halacha carries with it severe penalties. On the other hand, I will say, I am not chayiv to follow the of the Nasi. Now again, so the Gemara says, so Loroi dying. Nasi on the other hand, Nasi is not like a dying house, so Nasi at the Mitzuva al Hamra also. Roi dying Shiat al Mitzuva al Hamra also. So both say there is an interesting distinction here. I am not going to see on the other. If the dayan gives me a non-halachic ruling, I'm not necessarily bound by it. I'm not blind. I'm not bound to follow whatever the dayan says. On the flip side, the Nasi has authoritarian power, and whatever the Nasi says, you're right outside the realm of halacha. Whatever the Nasi says is absolutely binding law. And if I don't go ahead and listen to the words of the Nasi, then that's like what? That's like Mori b'Malchus. That's like rebelling against the monarchy, for which there would be a chiyuv misa. So the point the Gemara is making over here is, as much as we're grouping them together, l'maisa again they are dissimilar. On the other hand, hatzara shava shava. So we'll say, what is the common denominator between the Nasi and the dayan? Shahin ba'amcha. We'll say the common denominator is they are both members of Klal Yisrael. Va'ata musra al. Baruch Hu wants us to work. The Baruch Hu wants us to find truths by plumbing the depths, by getting up early, by saying slichos, by going to work late and learning that yomi. That's what. Look, that's the $1 million question. We could save ourselves a whole bunch of trouble if Torah. Remember, once upon a time, Torah Shabbat Peh was just a list of laws. So Kadosh Baruch Hu clearly wanted somehow the Masorah to be fuzzy a little bit, so that we would have to work at it. So the Gemara goes like there. So why don't you say the following? Maybe the common denominator is that each of these people are different. Maybe they're different. Now the Cheresh obviously is different. His difference is inherent. The Dayan and the Nasi are different because they occupy exalted positions. So maybe that's the difference. Maybe anyone who is different, you cannot curse. Ela imke nichtov kra o Elohim v'cheresh o Nasi v'cheresh. If that's the case, again, I will say, here's the problem. Then just let the Pesukim talk about the two extremes, right? Let it speak about a judge and a cheresh, or a nasi and a cheresh. The question is, why do I need both the nasi and the cheresh? I'm sorry, nasi v'cheresh. Elohim lamali. Why do I need both Elohim as well as nasi? And eno inyan lugufo. So we'll say, remember again, once you're teaching me about the nasi, I don't really need to be told that I can't curse the judge. Because from the Nasi, I can understand that anyone who occupies a position of authority, you can't curse. So why does the Torah come along and say the Nasi? If I don't need the actual Nasi to teach you the prohibition, then I can't curse a judge. That's obvious, or that's learned out from Nasi. Ultimately, again, Abba said, the Gemara says the extra word or the extra prohibition of cursing the Elohim, the judge, comes to because I don't need it to teach me about cursing a judge, I can use it to teach you the prohibition about cursing a father. So we'll say, so now the Gemara takes a step back. Elohim chol. Now we'll say this all works out fine according to the one who says that when the pasuk says Elohim lo sekalel, that's chol. Chol means we'll say that Elohim doesn't mean God. Elohim means a judge. So now this whole discussion makes sense if you understand that Elohim is chol, meaning the word Elohim is mundane, doesn't refer to God, rather refers to the judge. Elohim Adamar Kodesh Meikolim. We'll say according to one who says it's not Elohim, but rather what? It's Elohim, because it refers to HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Then what is there to say? This Sanya, because the pasuk says Elohim chol divrei Yishmael. Yishmael, we'll say that the Elohim in the pasuk is chol, who's not referring to God, rather is referring to a man, i.e. a judge. Rabbi Kiva says Elohim Kodesh. Rabbi Kiva says no. The Elohim in the pasuk also is referring to the Ribono Shel Olam. The Tanya, and we learned in a brayso. Rabbi Lez ben Yaakov Amar, Azhar Mevarech as Hashem Minayin. Rabbi Lez ben Yaakov says, how do I know that I'm not allowed to curse HaKadosh Baruch Hu? Mevarech, by the way, is a euphemism for blasphemy. How do I can't blaspheme HaKadosh Baruch Hu? Talmud Omar Elokim lo sekalel. Ultimately, again, you can't curse HaKadosh Baruch Hu. So we'll say the Gemara just says you're making all of these binyan avs and drushes, and essentially, you're trying to learn out that you can't curse your father from Elohim lo sekalel. To which the Gemara says that's fine if you're understanding that Elohim is exactly that, refers to not cursing a person. In this case, a judge. But because I don't need to teach a judge when he's teaching my father. But according to the Man Amr who says that Elohim is really again a reference to God, not to a human judge. Therefore, what the drush using it that I can't curse my father doesn't work. To which the Gemara says something very interesting. So Talmud Omar Elokim lo sekalel. Man Amar Elohim chol. So it's according to the opinion who says that the word Elohim refers to a judge, refers to a man, not to God. Then Gomer Kodesh Michol. We'll say this. Then if I can't curse a judge, or now that based on me with my father, then I certainly can't curse who? HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Okay. Lamanda Amar Elokim Kodesh. According to the one who says that Elokim ultimately is Kodesh, refers to God. Then what? Gaminon Chol Kodesh. We'll say. Then I would say the same way I can't curse a judge, right? The same way I can't curse. The same way I can't curse HaKadosh Baruch Hu. So too I can't curse a judge or my father. What does that mean? So I understand that if you say that Elohim is chol, so we'll say obviously if I can't curse a judge / father, then I can't curse HaKadosh Baruch Hu. I could learn out kodesh michol. Elaman da'amar Elokim kodesh gamar chol mikodesh. But I will say ultimately again, if I understand that Elokim is kodesh, that again the Torah telling me I can't curse God. Just because I can't curse God, I can't learn out from that. That's what? That I can't curse other people. To which the Gemara says, Dilma, akodesh asar, achol lo asar. Maybe Abba said, Torah is only telling me that I'm only prohibited to curse God, but I'm not prohibited to curse people. Right? I can curse people if I want to. To which the Gemara says, Im came lo lichtov kra lo sakel. If that's the case, I will say the pasuk could have said lo sakel, right? And that would have meant do not curse. My lo sakel. Why does the Torah add in the extra lashon? So we'll say sakel, so lashon like takala, like a stumbling block, which we could interpret to mean curse as well. Why does the Torah write the long form and say sakala 2 lamids? Shma min atarti. Therefore, what's it coming to teach you? That's what there are 2 klavas included over here. What are the 2 klavas? That I can't curse HaKadosh Baruch Hu, but I also can't curse the Dayan or, well, the Nasi, the Dayan, by extension, ultimately the father. Take a look at Rashi, lo sekalo, shtei klos b'mashma, ve'elokim nami beis l'shonos yeshbo, hilchach lo sekalo d'shentar. So this is actually very interesting. It seems according to Rashi, we do something that we never do, which is, well, first part of the drasha is sekalo. 2 lamids, you could have just written the word with 1 lamid and that would have sufficed. The fact that you're writing 2 lamids indicates that we're talking about cursing 2 people. Furthermore, I will say, technically speaking, the word Elokim could also refer to 2 people, which, in general, we have like an intense theological aversion to ever interpreting Elokim as referring to more than one entity. But apparently here, Rashi is suggesting that we can. Elokim could refer to God, to HaKadosh Baruch Hu, but Elokim could also refer to who? Judge. To a human judge. Good. So I'll say, so bottom line, don't curse people. That's the take-home message, right? Now again, so what we know is, I can't curse a chirish as an explicit isidoraisa. I can't curse a nasi, explicit isidoraisa. What I also know is I can't curse HaKadosh Baruch Hu, I can't curse a judge, and I can't curse my father. Though I know all of those things to be true. Those are all facts on the ground. The only issue at play over here is what? Is where ultimately again we learn those prohibitions out from. Good. Says the Mishnah. We go weiter. Haba nara mu'urasa. We'll say if a person has relations with the nara mu'urasa. Remember nara mu'urasa. Now these terms are going to be very specific. So we normally just translate nara mu'urasa as a woman who is betrothed to another man. So what's the isra of nara mu'urasa? It's adultery. Now what we're going to see is the Torah singles out nara mu'urasa, ultimately again with a punishment of skila. Under normal circumstances, prohibitions of or violations of adultery are punishable by chenek, strangulation. Yet interestingly enough, nara mu'urasa is punished by skila. Why? It's clear as the Gemara is just going to talk about the specific criteria for this prohibition. Sabah nara mu'urasa eino chayiv ad shetei nara. So first of all, number one, she has to be a nara. Now, also remember again, what's a nara? So remember from our Kiddushin days, a nara is a very specific 6-month window between 12 years old and 12 and a half years old. Because less than 12, she's a ketana. More than 12 and a half, she's a bogeres. So nara is that very specific window between 12 and 12 and a half. So therefore, again, eno chayiv, you only chayiv skila, ad shetei nara, she's a nara, besula, she has to be a besula, and mi'urasa, she's betrothed to another man, vihiba ve'saviha. And she is living in her father's home. We'll say these now again. I want to be clear. Just be if a woman, and we're going to discuss explicitly in the Gemara, if a woman does not satisfy one of these criteria. Now, the one criteria that has to be in effect in order for punishment to devolve upon the man is Chesi Urasa, Chesi betrothed. She's not betrothed, and she's a single girl. She's a single girl. It's bad, but it's not going to be punishable by skila. So we'll say, but the idea is, besides being Urasa, if any of these other details are not in effect. Lemaisa, again, what? Lemaisa, he will be chayiv. We'll discuss what her punishment is. He'll be chayiv misa, just not skila. So the Gemara says, bo ala shnayim. If ultimately, again, 2 men had relations with this girl, harishon b'skila. So the first one ultimately, again, is punishable by skila. V'hasheni b'chenek. And the second one is punishable by chenek. Now, we'll say, what's the difference between the first one and the second one? The first one, when he commits adultery with her, is committing adultery with a besula. So again, remember, if she's a besula, then the punishment ultimately again is skila. If she's not a besula, then ultimately again the punishment is cherek. So the Gemara goes back to Tanabana. Na'ara v'lo. So we'll say the Gemara now dashes on the pasuk. This prohibition of adultery with na'ara ha'me'uras that's punishable by skila is dafka number 1 with a na'ara v'lo bogeres. But we'll say so na'ara means the age between 12 and 12 and a half, and na'ara bogeres. Bisula v'lo be'ula. Bisula will say furthermore, and again, she hasn't had relations with anyone else. Me'urasa, she is betrothed v'lo nesua. Bevei Sabia, she's living in her father's house. Prat l'shemasur ha'av l'shluchei habal. This comes to exclude a case where the father gave over the girl to ultimately, again, the agents of the husband. So we'll say, so again, I want to be clear. The Gemara is not suggesting, although the Gemara will suggest it, but we're not suggesting that if it doesn't adhere to one of these criteria, the guy is potter. It's just ultimately, again, the Torah is speaking about a very specific situation that is punishable by skila. In order to be chayiv skila, the following criteria must be in effect. These words Rabbi Meir. The Chachamim say, so both say, Chachamim say that even if she's a kitana, but she's me'urasa, living beveis aviha, and she is a basula, a man who has relations that are punishable by skila. Amir Ravacham Ravina. So Ravacham said Ravina, I know them shafak say Rabbi Meir, ulemeute kitana, and the Mishnah is coming to exclude a kitana. Dilma rabbanon ulemeute bulgaris asulo. Maybe I will say the Mishnah reflects the view of the rabbanon, and what the Mishnah is coming to teach me is that what? That the girl, as long as the girl is not a bulgaris, ultimately again the adulterer will be punished by skila. Amalei, I eno chayiv at nara b'sula me'urasa. Eno chayiv ela al nara b'sula me'urasa in Balei. That's the case again. The Gemara answers, the Mishnah should not have said eno chayiv at shetehei nara, because it will say shetehei nara seems to what? Seems to limit the fact that she can't be a kitana, nor can she be a bulgaris. It should have said eno chayiv ela al nara b'sula me'urasa. If he was coming to limit, ultimately again, just a bulgaris, but not what? But not a kitana. Then it should have said, Eno chayiv ela al nara b'sula me'urasa. V'su lo midi. So the Gemara said, and there's nothing else to be said about this. Bo'omine Rav Yaakov bar Abba, Bo'omine Rav Yaakov bar Ada meirav. Ba'al kitana me'urasa b'meir mahu. So let's listen to this. If a man has relations with a girl who is a kitana b'me'urasa, so we'll say in this case over here, remember the paradigmatic case of Na'ara HaMu'urasa, which is punishable by skila, is the case where what? Whereas the Mishnah said, she is a Na'ara, she is Mu'urasa, and she's living in her father's home. What happens in the following case? There is a girl who is a Kitana, but has Irisin, right? Has Irisin. What happens if a man has relations with her? What is the status? So the Gemara says, L'Rabbi Meir, Mahu. Legamre mamitle or miskila mamitle. Does Rabbi Meir mean to say that a man who has relations with this girl is potter altogether? Or is he just saying, no, he's not potter, it's just that he doesn't get skila. Instead of skila, he gets what? He gets chanek. Amalei, to which he responded, mistabra miskila mamitle. It would seem to be that Rabbi Meir is just saying that he's potter from skila, but ultimately, again, still chayiv misa from chanek. But one second, the pasuk says that both the adulterer and the adulteress are put to death. They both say it appears based on the pasuk that what? The only time you execute a man for adultery is when you can execute the woman for the same act. Now both say in this case, can you execute the woman for the act?
No.
And it's no. Why? She's a ketana. She's a ketana. To which the Gemara says shasik Rav. Rav was silent. He was unable to answer this. Amr Shmuel, my time is Shasik Rav. Ultimately, again, why was Rav silent? V'nei malei umei sa'ish asher shachav ima levado. Yet the pasuk says, and the man, umei sa'ish asher shachav ima levado, the man who slept with her will be executed. Now we'll say levado. The Gemara understands to mean what?
By himself.
By himself. Now we'll say. Now what is this talking about? This is talking about the man who violates a na'ara ha'mu'urasa. Right, and the Torah is coming to teach me that because the girl was violated, and because again, according to Torah, this takes place in the Sada, a place where she did not have access to help. Therefore, what? He is executed. She is not. He's executed. She is not. God said, but what do you see from here? You see from here that there is a case where we will execute a man for a case of adultery. Because also remember again, we're not executing him because he violated a woman. Because we'll say, what's the penalty if a man violates a woman? What's the penalty? Number one, he has to marry her. Number two, there's a financial penalty associated with it, right? But again, assuming she's single, the Isser over here, the reason he's put to death is because he's committed an act of adultery. But what do you see from here? You see from here that even an act of adultery, does not generate what we're called mirrored liability for the man and the woman, the man could still be executed. Therefore, in our case over here, where a man has relations with a nara, a kitana, even though she cannot be executed because she's a kitana, she could still be executed, to which the Gemara says, kitanoi. In reality, this is a machlokes tanoi. The pasuk says, "Umesu gam shneim." One pasuk says that both the adulterer and adulteress are executed. And what do we learn from here? Ad shushneim shavni Rabbi Yosef. Rabbi Yosef says, what do we learn from Rabbi saying? That ultimately, again, you could only execute them for adultery when both can be executed. Rabbi Yonasan says, "Umeis ha'ish asher shachav ima levado." Yet Rabbi Yonasan says that the pasuk says that the man who slept with her will be executed by himself. By himself. So what do you see from here? So again, we'll both say it's machlokes tanoim. Which pasuk do we darshan? Do we darshan ultimately again? Do we darshan umesu gam shnehem, which tells you that the only time they're executed is when they both can be executed? Or do we darshan umeisa isha shachavima levado? Levado teaches that there are times where he's executed and she is not. To which the Gemara says, the other opinion will say, Hahi umesugam shnehem my darishbe. So the Gemara says, what does he darshan? Meaning the second opinion, what does he darshan umesugam shnehem? Amarava lemeute maasei chidudim. I will say what that comes to exclude is the following. Let's say a man and woman engaged in inappropriate behavior, but it wasn't bia. It wasn't bia, right? So my sechidudim, Rashi says over here, it's the first white line. The ma'ude masechidudim mechadet umekasha ivaro bibsara mibachutz v'hu nana v'hi eino nanis la'achik siv shneim shiu shneim shavin nanin. So also listen to this. So the Gemara darshans over here is the following. What I can, even according to the opinion who darshans levado, could say, so what they say from the pasuk of umesugam shneim. Umesugam shneim also means that the prohibition that they're only killed if it's an act that's pleasurable to both of them, which is reference to bia. But if, let's say, again, there was some type of inappropriate behavior that happened that was pleasurable for the man, but wasn't an act of bia that was pleasurable for the woman, then ultimately, again, that's not called adultery, punishable by misa. Still wrong, still inappropriate, but not punishable by misa. V'idach, the other opinion will say, ma'aseh chidudim lav klumi. I don't need a pasuk to exclude ma'aseh chidudim, Rabbi say, because ma'aseh chidudim is nothing. Or meaning it's halachically nothing. The only thing that's actually adultery is what? Is bia. V'idach, Hi levado my darishbe. So we'll say, what does the other opinion do? What does the other opinion do? Ultimately, again, with levado. So the Gemara says, Kidisanyo bo ala asara bnei adam va'adayin hi besula. So we'll say he uses it for the following case. If ultimately there were 10 men who had relations with the betrothed girl, but she's still a basula. The Rebbe says still a basula ultimately means that it was bia shelo kidarka. So her basulim are still intact. So what's the halacha? Kulam b'skila. The Rebbe said they are all punishable by skila. Why they are punishable by skila? Because remember again, the punishment for a nara me'urasa who is a basula is skila. The punishment for a nara ha'me'urasa who is not a basula is what? Is chenek. So in this case over here, levado means any time that he is having relations with the woman and she's still a basula, even though she's had bia, but the basulim are still intact. Ultimately, again, because all of the bia was shelo kedarka, they're all killed with skila. Rabbi says, harishon b'skila, the kulam bechenek. Rabbi says, no, only the first one gets skila, and the rest of them ultimately again are killed with chenek. Because we'll say in Rabbi's view, once she's had bia, even if it's bia shelo, therefore again adultery is still prohibited, but the punishment will not be skila. Punishment. Ubas ish kohen ki secha liznos. So we'll say another brayso goes the following. Speaking about over here, a bas kohen, right? The daughter of a kohen who is betrothed and engages in znos. So what are we dashing from this? Rebbe Omer tchila. So we'll say Rebbe says now, what Rebbe's dashing is the word kisecha. What does kisecha liznos? Rebbe says seicha means beginning. Tchila v'chinu Omer umeis ha'ish asher shachav ima levado. Similarly, the pasuk says, and the man who slept with her, he himself will be killed. What is Rebbe saying exactly? Rebbe holds it Rebbe Shmuel. What does Rebbe Shmuel say? The Amar Arusa Yatsa L'Sreifa V'lo Nesua. That's Rebbe say it's Dafka and Arusa, Baskun who is an Arusa, who engages in adultery, who is put to death through Sreifa, and not in the. So what was Rabbi saying? V'hachi kamar, im tchilas bia biznos b'sreifa. If ultimately again I will say the first time she is quote unquote profaned is this act of znus, then enochinami, then they're killed with sreifa. V'idach b'chelek. But any subsequent acts of znus, ultimately again, will be punishable by chelek. My v'chein. I will say, what does that word v'chein mean? Ki hasam. Ma hasam b'tchilas bia kamishtaikra. Just like over there, the pasuk is talking about a first bia. So to over here by the bas coin, the boss said the only time she's punishable by streifa is if what? Is kisechel. If the beginning of her, I know this is not good English, but her profanation, right? The beginning of her being profaned happened through this act, then there's a chi of streifa. But if she was already profaned beforehand, as much as this is an act of adultery, it's not punishable by streifa. Amali Rabbi bar Abaye, mar lo hachi amar. So Rabbi said to Abaye, Rabbi Abaye said, my Rebbe did not say like this. Who says Rabbi Umanu? Rav Yosef. So we'll say, so why? Because Rav Yosef, because Rebbe, Rav Yosef, Rebbe Krabi Meir, Rebbe actually knows the Krabi Meir. The Amar, Mises, la'acha min apsulim, misasa b'chelek. So we'll say, what does this mean? This is talking about, again, a bas kohen, right? A bas kohen. Let's say a bas kohen married someone who is usher to her. She married a mamzer. Then what happens? Also, bless you. Then what happens? She commits adultery with someone. What's the punishment for that act of adultery? To which the Gemara says, chenek. I will say now, 1 second, doesn't the Torah say that a bas kohen, if she commits adultery, is punishable by sreifa? To which the Gemara says, no. I'll tell you why. Vachi kama. Im tchilas achalta biznus v'idach b'chenek. Ultimately, again, what it means to say is the following. When is a bas kohen punishable by streifa? Only when I will say, only if this maisa of znus is what profanes her. But if she was already quote profaned beforehand, ultimately again she will be punished for the adultery, right? But she'll be punished for the adultery like any other act of adultery, which is what? Which is punishable by chet. She's already now when she commits adultery with someone else, ultimately again that will be punishable by chenek, like a regular act of adultery, not like streifa. The only time a bas kohen gets first is when ultimately again she commits an act that initially profanes her. Umay v'chein. So we'll say if that's the case. Now the word v'chein always indicates that is similar. Simna ba'alma uv'tchilas gets, so to speak, again